Hello, my name is Catherine Lehman. I'm the Vice President of the ACI UK. The ACI is a community for individuals working in the FX and the money markets, and one area of our focus is promoting diversity and equality in the FX and the money markets. And to that end, I'm delighted to be joined today by Claudia Kozica, the founder of Dialogue Age. I would like to ask you a few questions, Claudia, on your experience around inclusivity and equal opportunities. So firstly, Claudia, welcome and many thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Claudia, having worked in various sales and business development roles in hedge funds, fintech and derivatives businesses, what differences have you noticed in the culture and opportunities for women in more traditional businesses compared to fintech?
Yes, and I started my career actually working at a trading company, so have that first-hand experience as well, being one of 2 women on the floor of 100. Let me tell you about the things they have in common, which is also supported by research. We are in the middle of an evolution, and I don't think we fully realize this. The narrative is still very much on how few women there are in the leadership, meaning the glass half empty. And it's true, especially as you become more senior. It can get lonely at the top. Whether you take financial services or tech, both are male dominated. So fintech being a mix of both isn't really different. In reality, though, in my opinion, the fundamentals are different now than they were 30, 20, or even 10 years ago. And all the big market events help to bring more balance when it comes to inclusivity. Think for a moment about the financial crisis of 2007, or more recently, the pandemic and home working revolution. They initially bring chaos to then bring balance. There are 2 shifts that took place. In case of the financial crisis, we realized that risk is better managed when in hands of a diverse group of people. The data proves that when there are females among the executives and the board, you have much more sustainable businesses. You have better return on investment, you have better P&L. Bottom line, you have more money. And in case of the pandemic, it broke down the biggest barrier to women's career advancement, namely being able to manage your career in a flexible way while also having a family. So while many are now struggling with finding that balance as the 2 overlap, work and life, they now make it possible for you to be there for the kids in the evening and also take that client call, previously mutually exclusive. So to me, it's not so much about the sector as it's about the leader's willingness to accept and embrace the evolution by bringing corporate solutions, and we see game changers everywhere. Businesses are now more open, not only because it's the right thing to do or because the regulator said so, but because it simply makes business sense.
That's really interesting, and the fact that it just makes good business sense. I know you've said, Claudia, that inclusion by its nature leads to innovation, and inclusive companies are 1.7 times more likely to be industry leaders. Why do you think the progress has been slow?
I think it's been slower than we would wish for, and yet I see how much has changed in a very short space of time, how the narrative around women in leadership has been given attention and corresponding investment. The trend, without a doubt, is a positive one, and while we would like to see immediate improvement, meaningful change takes time. I really want to emphasize it, as to really change something, coming from a place of lack makes it more challenging for us and makes it more difficult for women themselves. So I think we have reasons to celebrate and acknowledge not only what's missing, but also what's there. Most firms want to do better, and the UK firms spend billions a year on inclusivity training. The intention is there. What we miss is effective execution. Just think about sports for a moment. Let's say football. How comfortable would a Chelsea or Arsenal fan feel knowing that they miss a forward, or worse yet, a goalkeeper? Yet we do it in business all the time. Whether you coach a football team or manage a company, you have one fundamental thing in common. Your success is based on your team's success. How often do we miss a skill or a skill set or perspective corresponding to a critical position in the company, be it on the trading floor or in the C-suite? I talk about the idea of value-added diversity, as it's exactly that, it adds value to your business. It's about recognizing that while you may survive, you certainly won't thrive. And it's about leveraging the opportunities and spotting the challenges early on so that you can act on them before they become big issues.
I really like that. Yes, that's really interesting, Claudia. Thank you. You have a belief that there's a strong link between inclusivity and company financial performance. What do you suggest businesses need to focus on to achieve inclusivity that yields those commercial benefits you talk about?
And that's the question all the businesses should be asking themselves. I think we need to designate the advancement of women as a formal business priority, viewing inclusivity as a driver of financial performance. So shifting the conversation to the value-added diversity of women in leadership. We need solutions with a measurable path to value instead of pursuing inclusivity using programs that don't really address the underlying mindset or are there just to make us feel good. Otherwise, we're only curing the symptoms and then the change will be slower. A wealth of research supports that. So there are the so-called game changers, as McKinsey calls them, companies in every sector who outperform their peers on every metric measured, be it revenue, innovation, employee retention, customer satisfaction, you name it. And as London settles nearly 40% of the global FX market, it's already diverse by nature. Now this simply needs to be reflected in the leadership. We have some of the smartest people in the world working in money markets, and they value facts, they value data, they value science. We will show you how to grow the pie for everyone. And more diverse teams make better decisions thanks to that cognitive diversity. Adding more women to trading teams tends to improve risk management, increase average returns, and improve a team's capacity to admit and learn from their mistakes.
That's very interesting. So enhancing our cognitive capacities in our trading teams actually yield some of those benefits. It's super. But we've traditionally seen that the science, the vocational technology roles, they've generally attracted limited numbers of young women in recent years. But that does seem to be showing signs of an increase. Why do you think that is?
I think it's thanks to education, and then some role models. So the proportion of female scientists starting their career increased from 33% in 2020 to over 40% now. That's quite a meaningful change in such a short space of time, as there's been investment globally into initiatives promoting that. It also takes time to break generational cycles and patterns, the way we view ourselves in the world and the roles we play. And that has been quite powerful around women and science. All of us want instant gratification, forgetting how recent, in evolutionary terms, these advancements are and how profound the change is. So it starts now with more women than men graduating from universities. I think it's 55% now, which then translates into the representation in science. The positive trend continues. So one of the last big barriers we should think about removing is around being able to bring people back once they've decided to take a break, be it to care for their family, raise their children, or simply enjoy a longer vacation.
Yes, that's really interesting and some fascinating stats that you've got there, Claudia. Yeah, are there things once we've identified those young women and we have talent in our organisations, what can we do to retain or promote that talent?
This is where coaching and mentoring are both so powerful, as they help us not only recognize our limiting beliefs, but also break through them. What you said is so spot on. Women often don't feel they are enough, so they don't even try. To many in the industry, this is a source of frustration. How can you have more diverse teams if they don't apply? So now more and more doors are wide open and few want to come in. In terms of developing and retaining young talent, rising stars, as I call them, coaching is fundamental, and you want to do it early in your career. The catch-22 is that these programs in organizations are typically offered to more senior staff, so we end up losing some phenomenal people along the way. What I've seen over the years working with women in the industry is how proactive they have now become, looking for ways to advance their careers and work on themselves. So we really see the change coming from every direction. You have that movement from the women themselves, that passion, that drive that they have to really challenge what's been holding them back. And it's now increasingly so being supported by the companies and organizations. Coaching helps you experience what's possible for you, and when done early, can really change the entire trajectory of your career. Also, having a peer network can do wonders for you. We all have our ups and downs, and having someone who can lift you up when it gets tough is priceless. So I do think that it's important to really show how the narrative has changed, and actions speak louder than words. So invest in your female talent, they will pay it forward. London has access not only to women, but diverse talent from all over the world. Let's use it.
So true. Such a wide pool of candidates that we have in London. You talk about coaching and the importance of coaching and developing individuals. How important is coaching in terms of developing and retaining younger talent? And can we do more through coaching in terms of how we empower women to feel they deserve more senior roles?
Yes, and yes, oh, we can. This is where coaching is mixed beautifully with role models and with everything we do around building awareness. What I see often is talented, ambitious, I call them want to have it all women who are so passionate about really making the most out of their lives. And yet the imposter syndrome kicks in. So you want to have both. You want to have someone who will be it an individual coaching, a group, a mentorship program, where you speak about these challenges before you feel you're the only one dealing with them. And also you want to, you want to feel that support from the organization. So here having role models, women who've done it before, is fundamental, and they can lift others up as they climb the career ladder.
Interesting, really interesting. So coaching is extremely important throughout our careers. What are there other steps you think the FX sector as an industry could be taking to attract a more diverse pool of candidates? And do you think the industry can do maybe a little bit more to attract women to front office roles, such as sales and trading?
There is, yeah, there certainly are things that the market should do, and one of them to me seems to be around technology and how technology has been the catalyst for change in the FX market. So think about that. Now it's the algorithms and high frequency trading that often take over from manual trading and execution, which is changing the entire narrative. If you don't need the trader to execute, what skills are now needed? How do you generate creative ideas, manage risk, maintain a competitive edge? That's exactly the environment in which diverse teams are not only an advantage, they're also a necessity. And I think a debate, a dialogue here is so important, and to be able to engage that in the FX market. Diversity has been a monologue for way too long. It's time we look beneath the surface and address the root cause by also getting men involved. They are and will remain key decision makers. Those who understand the potential for the business are at the forefront of change. Those are also the most successful leaders. So the narrative needs to focus on the value women bring. And to the women out there, you'll never become more than what you believe you're worth.
So powerful, really interesting. Thank you, Claudia. Returnship has been a buzzword recently, and given your own experience, can you give any advice or suggest resources perhaps some of our members can use when they consider a return to the workplace, maybe following a break, for example?
Yes, absolutely. And to our viewers who are not familiar with returnships, these are these professional internships designed specifically for people like you returning after an extended career break to help you identify skills that you may need to sharpen. They help you not only to build back your confidence, but also to go back into that business world. So I see this a lot. Educated, talented, want to have it all women decide to devote their time to raising a family. Then when the time comes for them to go back, they seem to have lost all of their confidence. So they hide their dreams and ambitions unless financially forced to go back. And they mentioned parents as a group specifically as 17% of women leave employment completely in 5 years following childbirth. And this is where returnships are so powerful. You will realize that while you may need to sharpen some of your skills, you've been through an experience that taught you more than an MBA. How to manage people better, how to execute efficiently. And your understanding of the world and the human needs has skyrocketed, even if it's only within your family. So you're better off having had that experience, and yet many look at their career through the lens of what they have lost. And I think that needs to be changed, even for that 17% of women. Just think about the potential there. There is a website called Women Returners at womenreturners.com. You may want to check out. It has a number of really interesting internships offered there.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Claudia. We will provide a link to that website on our website. Just in closing, we're emerging from really unprecedented times following the COVID crisis. Many of us are working from home. Many of us still are working from home. Have you got any tips on how we can balance our work-life priorities and also keep our networks going?
Yes, it's so important. It's, I would say, one word: boundaries. It's around becoming really clear within yourself. What are the things you want to say yes to, and where do you need to practice saying no more often, so that you have time left and energy left for really for things that matter most to you. And when it comes to your to the networking and your sponsors and your colleagues, this can be a fun thing to do, and it's also the best investment you can make in your career long term. So think about the people you spend time with. What do they bring? Look for those who light you up, who engage with you in meaningful ways, who challenge you, and also who will be there for you when you need them the most. This is the value that the network will give you.
That's such good advice, Claudia. Thank you once again for joining us. That was Claudia Gorsica, the founder of Dialogue Age. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Catherine.